Good evening, and welcome to everybody on once again another beautiful Tuesday evening. My name is Lane Nelson, and it is a joy to be with you. I am here live at East Side Lutheran Church in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, on this gorgeous fall. I guess it's closing in on winter because it's a November Tuesday night. We have been so blessed with good weather, and I am going to apologize to you because I'm a minute or two late because we seem to have been having some Wi-Fi issues here at Eastside that I just had happened tonight. So hopefully things will go smoothly. Hopefully there's not a whole lot of freezing up on your end, and we'll have a chance to have a wonderful discussion. So glad that you are where you are at and that you are choosing to spend a part of your evening here, whether you are watching this with us now live or whether you are looking at this sometime in the future. Please know you are welcome in this place as we gather and we have these conversations of faith that we call Together in Faith. And it's an opportunity for us to look at issues of faith, often things around us in the world or issues pertinent to our own life that we might then learn from others and grow deeper in our own, even as we ask questions. So that's what this is all about. Eastside Lutheran Church is a ELCA church, an Evangelical Lutheran Church in America congregation, and we are located here in Sioux Falls. Now, I have to put up this little blurb, this little advertisement that we have our Saturday evening worships that are taking place at 5:30. They are new this fall. They have just been wonderful, and so if you have opportunity to participate in them, I encourage you come and check them out. And like I say, we have 3 live worship opportunities every weekend. There's no reason you can't go to all 3. So come enjoy and see how the sermon evolves from one service to the next. So that is my little blurb there. I see we have a few folks who are starting to join us online tonight. A big shout out to Rini. Nice to have you here. I was just up in Botno a week ago for a very, very short window of time and had a chance to spend some time with Lloyd and Peggy, and it was just time well spent. So I hope all is good up there for you tonight. Hi also to Connie. My condolences to you on behalf of the Astros. Please know that you are certainly in our thoughts, maybe our prayers, but know that we were thinking of you guys. Also, hello to Judy. Nice to visit with you earlier today at St. Arbuck's. For those of you who are in the Sioux Falls area and have open time on Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock, there's a group of people called St. Arbuck's, or Starbucks if you take the period out, and they gather for coffee and fellowship and a little bit of prayer every Tuesday morning here at Eastside Lutheran at 10 a.m. So please know you are welcome. Stop by if you are in the area. Also, hello to Gail. Oh, it's always so nice to see your name pop up. Brings a smile to my face. I hope things are well in your life. Please say hi to Bobby for me. Good evening to Dorothy. Nice to have you here as well. Good evening to Carol. Welcome to the conversation as we are certainly together in faith. Now, we had lots going on here at Eastside recently. Of course, we had the big All Saints Sunday this past week. It's one of my favorite worship services of the entire year, where we remember that we are a part and surrounded by that great cloud of witnesses. Some wonderful traditions here at Eastside is we put sticky notes up around the sanctuary for the weeks of November in worship, and those notes contain the names of loved ones that we have written who have gone on and passed. And so we are literally surrounded by those folks in worship. Another tradition, as many places do, is the ringing of a bell following the names of the people who have died over the past year from the congregation. This year we did something special in worship. If you didn't see that worship online or participate, you can go back and find it on Facebook or YouTube. But we brought up one of the bell that used to be in the Eastside Lutheran Church tower. It's obviously not there anymore, but we brought that up, and that was used for the ringing of the bell with the names of the saints. And it was just powerful to be a part of that, and it was just so nice to be able to use that piece of our congregation's past and history for that wonderful marker. And then the other weekend before that, of course, was Reformation. And here at Eastside, we also do confirmation. So I just want to share with you a picture of our confirmation students in case you weren't there. Yes, we had several pictures taken. This just happened to be the picture of our confirmation class that was the most fun. So congratulations again to our 9th grade students on their confirmation as they continue to grow in faith and have this wonderful milestone now as a part of their faith journey. Please keep each of them in your prayers. They're a wonderful group of students. And I apologize to anybody who was embarrassed with that photo coming up. The only one that should be embarrassed really is me. But fun folks, fun folks. A couple of other quick highs here. Good evening to Irene. Nice to see you tonight as well. And good evening to all of you, regardless of where you might find yourself. Maybe you have a cup of hot chocolate that you are sipping. This is very tasty. Hello to Colin and Harriet as well. God's blessings to you as you join in this evening's conversation. All right. Coming up, though, in just a little while, we will be having our consecration weekend. As we mentioned in this format a week ago on Tuesday, this is stewardship emphasis at Eastside Lutheran, as it probably is in many of your congregations, depending on where you're at. Stewardship is something that's always a part of our lives. It's a part of January 1 through December 31. But many of us take that extra emphasis on it in the month of November for two reasons. One, the budgeting process is happening, and many places will have their annual meetings on the Sundays in January, and so it's nice to know what people's intentions are so that the work of the church can be gauged by that financially. But two, the month of November also is, at least in the United States, intrinsically tied with the holiday of Thanksgiving and then also in preparation of Christmas and things to come. So we're thankful for the things that we have in our own lives, and as Christians, our natural response then is to give back, to return. For centuries, God's people have been giving back to God at the harvest. When things come in, we give the first fruits, if you will, back to God as a sign of our trust, a sign of relationship, a sign of thankfulness, a sign of gratitude. So stewardship gets the emphasis in the month of November here at this place. Our stewardship theme at Eastside this year is a servant to all, and this theme is going to encompass several different areas. If you were in worship on Sunday, you heard Marilyn Heyer give just a wonderful talk about the importance of giving of ourselves for the sake of others, giving of our time and talents, and that will be the topic that we're talking about tonight. But she also spoke about risk that comes with that. And sometimes doing something for somebody else can be difficult for us because it involves risk. It involves getting our butt up off the couch, too. But it involves doing something and putting ourselves maybe outside our comfort zone. And there are certainly things you can do within your own comfort zones, but sometimes a joy can be in doing a little bit of trying something new and something different. So just plant that in the back of your mind as we're having this conversation tonight. Now, two things will be happening on Consecration Sunday. You will be coming forward and turning in your pledges for the year, but one of them is a new time and talent form. We showed that a week ago. We're going to look at it a little bit later. But if you get this in the mail, please take some time and look at that. If you are in a 2 or 3 or 4 household situation, fill these out for each person in your household so that we can know what your gifts are and how you want to serve. And then you will also get a financial pledge card as well. And both the time and talents and the financial pledge cards will be turned in as a part of that special consecration worships that we talked about on the weekend of November 20 and 21. So, all right, there is lots of announcement-y kinds of things and getting everybody back on the same page again as we get ready to plunge ahead with our theme, Together in Faith, Giving of Our Time, which is so crucial. And so even as we're having this conversation, another thing I might ask you to think about is, when is some time in your life that you have given of your time, that you have given of your gifts, your talents, maybe risked stepping out to do something for someone else, even if it was as simple as praying for them once a day for a week, or shoveling somebody's walk, or ushering in church, or whatever it might be. What is it that you did, and what were the consequences? How did it impact the people around you? How did it impact you? Because when we give, it has influence on both ourselves and others. And we tend to focus on how others will benefit from the wonderful things that I will be doing for them. But it's really twofold, and we'll get to that here in just a little bit. So keep that in your mind and think about that. All right, we are going to get to this topic of giving of our time, or our gifts or our talents. But for the sake of this conversation, I'm just going to use the word time, because when we do something, it does cost us time that we could otherwise spend sitting on the couch staring at a screen, right? And so we're going to think about time. And so I'm going to throw this up here. I did a little math. I'm not exactly a mathematician, but I was able to do this math. We have 60 seconds in a minute, and there are, of course, 60 minutes in an hour, and there are 24 hours in a day and 7 days in a week. All right, we got that. We're all on the same page, okay? This is where the calculators then need to come into play, and I had that with me trusty phone. Now, if we look at a week from beginning to end, maybe from when you leave worship on a Sunday morning or on a Saturday evening to when you come back the following week, you have 168 hours in that week with which you can do stuff. Or if we break it down to a smaller chunk of time, there are 10,080 minutes in a week. And if we break it down even smaller, 604,800 seconds. We just simply did this by multiplying seconds and minutes and hours and days. That's a lot of seconds. If you think of an act of kindness of saying something to somebody else that you wouldn't necessarily have to, or going out of your way to open a door or to pick something up, all of those things take just a few seconds, maybe a few minutes. You can write a card to somebody. If we have 604,800 seconds, how many of those can we use for service for somebody else's benefit? Probably quite a few, and we still have many, many, many more seconds left, right? Okay. Well, we have this question of service, so we ask, what is a service, a servant, and why do we serve? Well, the very simple, straightforward answer from Christianity would be, Jesus was a foot washer, and that's why we do it. We remember that story that we talk about on Maundy, Thursday, and Holy Week, of how Jesus is with his disciples around the table, and he gets up and takes a towel, puts it around his waist, and kneels down and washes his disciples' feet. And they don't want him to do that servant-y kind of stuff. They're embarrassed. And he says, no, I came to serve, not to be served. We see that in Matthew 20. And so our call then, if we are going to follow Jesus, means that we should be doing the kinds of things that Jesus was doing, and that is putting needs of others ahead of our own. But there's also other reasons we can have, maybe a little bit more selfish or self-serving reasons, but still benefits nonetheless of doing things for other people. And so in preparation for tonight, I came across some interesting research done by Marta Zaraska, And she is quoted by the Reverend David Crocker on the website Operation Inasmuch, which is dedicated to service and doing things for other people. Here, Zaraska states that we are biologically hardwired to serve. Okay, so we think about that for a minute. Our bodies are wired the way that all of our systems are intertwined with one another. They're hardwired to serve, and that there are parts of our brains that encourage us to do things for other people. And the most simple examples is we can think of our natural instincts in caring for people who are kind of vulnerable amongst us. We think of infants or little children or the elderly. We're hardwired to look out for them, to go out of our way for them, to do things for them, right? Well, when all of this stuff comes together, we find that serving other people increases our own longevity in the process. We live longer. There is a reward-inducing benefit of it feels good to do something for other people, and I'm sure you've all experienced that. You did something and you feel, oh, I got more out of it than they did. But it also is stress-reducing. And then, of course, as we do things for other people around us, it strengthens the ties that bind the communities in which we live. But I was able to also find a few other things that I thought were interesting about doing things for other people. And that is that serving reduces mortality by 22 to 44%. Now, that doesn't mean that 22 to 44% of people who serve aren't going to die. But it means that their mortality in any given year is reduced by that amount. We live longer and we're healthier in the process just by serving other people, hardwired to do things and our bodies benefit. Serving other people causes us also just to move more, to be more active, to work our brains a little bit more, to be thinking more, to be engaged, all of those things which are so important at any age. But they say, sitting is the new smoking, right? And so the more we can be active and up and moving, even if it's just things around here, it doesn't have to be out running marathons. It physically helps us, and those things increase in our longevity. People who volunteer have been found to have a 29% lower risk of high blood pressure. Think about that. So many people in the United States suffer from high blood pressure, and we spend all kinds of money on medications to lower our blood pressure, and we dread going in to get our physicals done and have them tell us how much it is that, did our blood pressure increase now, and to be watching our salt. But we can work with that by doing things for other people and have that benefit of some reduced blood pressure. Also found to lower inflammation levels, 17%. And people who volunteer, get this, and this one just blew me away, okay? The other stuff makes some sense, but this just was kind of shocking to me. They spend 38% fewer nights in the hospital. If you have ever been in the hospital, if you could reduce your chances of having to go there or go back there by any number, it's worth it. Not only is it stressful and painful and all of the things that go with it, it's also financially impactful. So volunteering, I suppose you could say, helps us financially as well by having us spend less on our health in the process, okay? So again, helping other people then calms us down as kind of a general thing that Zastra found in her research that she was doing. But those are all wonderful self-serving benefits, right, for us. But as Christians, as people who follow Jesus, we do these kinds of things simply because Jesus calls us to. Jesus was a foot washer. And as we are hardwired to serve because God then made us that way. And so when we live out these kinds of things in our lives, we naturally feel better because we're living in the way that God calls and created us to live. Let's look at our big time sheet here again. The math of a week. 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 days and hours in a day, and 7 days in a week breaks down to 168 hours in a week, 10,080 minutes in a week, 604,800 seconds in a week. How many of these minutes and seconds might we spare each week for the benefit of others? Even knowing that we will benefit too in the process, but that's certainly not our first motivation. We serve because we have a need to serve. And so when we talk about serving in the church, it's not just, hey, you should do this because it's good for you. It's simply a response to God for the wonderful things that we have been blessed with, the things that we will give thanks for around our Thanksgiving tables here in just a couple of weeks. It's a response to what we have, and it's also a way of life as people who follow Jesus. So, what impact can focusing a little more time make on other people? We talked a lot about the impact that giving has on ourselves, but there certainly is that impact on other people, which is really the thing I think that drives most people. They want other people to feel good. They want other people to have benefits. They want other people to experience joy, right? So as we continue in November with this theme, A Servant to All, we hear this call to give of our time. So we have these newly created Eastside Lutheran Church time and talent sheets. Hopefully you have received them in the mail, those of you at least who are on the Eastside Lutheran mailing list. And if you need more of them, let us know. If you are not on the church's mailing list but would like to have them, please let us know and we'll be sure and get one of those out to you. Because sometimes people want to be a part of what's going on in the congregation, but they're not exactly sure the best way to do that. And so these little sheets then kind of help us know these are your gifts. Oh, Susie is really good at ushering, or Johnny has a financial background, or John and Tim and Tom all really like to do things with their hands outside, to build, to clean, to shovel, all of those things, ways in which we can give of ourselves. So I know that's kind of small. You're really not going to see much of that with what I put up there, but maybe you can go back later and pause this to get a look at it. But it's fun because we have updated these, and it's the first time in I think almost 20 years that we updated these sheets, and lots of stuff has happened in the past to cause them different. So there are categories here. You can even check your favorite worship time, either 5:30 on Saturdays or Sunday at 8, Sunday at 10. Things you can do in worship, things you can do related to stewardship, children's ministry, day camp or vacation Bible school, confirmation, music, and the fine arts. Oh, I am continually blown away in this congregation of the gifts we have of music and the fine arts and the diversity of those gifts. And it's so fun to see them all come together in this blended worship that we have. All of these different pieces. And the choir stuff this last Sunday was just wonderful, and how it tied in with their gospel readings and everything. Some wonderful fine art things being done in some creative ways. And so kudos to all of you who do that. Things with the women of the church, community service. We have so many that are tied right here to Eastside as well as other things. Things then related to some social medias, publicity, transportation for people who need it, youth ministry, new member ministry, food service, office assistance, church council, athletics. We have a church softball team, which is a lot of fun to be in. I mean, that's just one crazy way that you can participate and give of yourself here at Eastside. Of course, there are things like adult education and social action and outreach, prayer ministry. What church worth its salt doesn't have people who give of themselves to pray for other people on a regular basis? And I can think of a handful. Some of you are participating tonight in this who do such a good job praying for other people, using your gifts. Some people say, well, I can't get out much. I don't have much mobility. I can't do this. My back hurts. My whatever hurts. But we can still pray for other people, and we can send notes and emails and cards and all of those things to let people know that they are being prayed for. And sometimes it's just so simple as letting someone else know that you're thinking of them and praying for them can make all the difference in the world to them in their situation, whatever it is they're going through. There are things about buildings and grounds, and then a wonderful category of other, and a place for you just to put down your talents there, things that we maybe did not think of. So it is so important to give financially to our church, and you'll hear more about that here yet in this month of November, and I do not want to downplay that at all, because if we do not have those kinds of things, it's hard to do the work that we're called to do as a church. But we also are called to give of ourselves, to give of our 604,800 seconds on a regular weekly basis. It would be fun for people, I think, to, when they leave church this weekend, to kind of think all of the different things that they do for other people over the course of that week, from small things to big things to whatever, until you come back to church then in a week. And then to kind of look at that and just think of the impact that you were able to have in 1 week's time, in just 7 days, just because you're called to live your faith through following Jesus. The verse that is centering us here on this stewardship theme of a servant to all is from the Apostle Paul in his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9. We read it last week together. For though I am free from all, I have made myself a servant to all, that I might win more of them. For though I am free from all, I have made myself a servant to all, that I might win more of them. As Christians, we are literally freed from sin, freed from fear, freed from all of those things that otherwise bind us. As we put our trust in God, we are then freed to think beyond ourselves, to think beyond our what if I don't have enough kind of mentality, that we might then do things for other people, to give of ourselves for other people. For the life of a Christian is the life of a servant. We are free to focus on other people. And that's a pretty powerful concept, right? That's worth sitting down with a cup of hot chocolate around the fire and thinking a little bit more about how we are freed to focus on other people, and that we don't need to be worried so much about ourselves, because we put our trust that God's got us. God's got our backs, as they say, right? Well, again, I started our conversation by asking you to think about the ways in which you give, maybe some ways that you give naturally, and maybe some ways that you might be willing or being called. The Holy Spirit's probably working in the minds of some of you, wherever you are at. The Holy Spirit kind of inviting you to maybe step out a little bit, to risk a little bit, to try something new, to use some of these gifts that you might not even have realized that you have for the benefit of other people. If some of those things come up for you, please share them with other people, throw them down in the comments so that other people can then be inspired themselves. Not to do it as a braggadocious way, but to inspire other people to take that risk or to give of themselves. A couple of more shout outs here as we are rounding up our time. Marlis, so nice to have you here. Oh, Carol, thank you. Yes, Reformation and All Saints services were fabulous. It was so fun to be a part of them. We had the attendance here at Eastside for the last 3 weeks in a row has been so strong, and we've been having these wonderful worships, and it's just been a blast to be in church with one another. So thanks for bringing that up. Good evening to Alice. Good evening to Shar. Yeah, there's just so much when we think about how we're freed to think about other people. So why don't we do as we do at the end of our sessions together? We close with Luther's evening prayer, a reminder to us that we can put our trust in God, which then frees us to think about others. Let's pray. I give thanks to you, my Heavenly Father, through Jesus Christ, your dear Son, that you have graciously protected me today. And I ask you to forgive me all my sins where I have done wrong, and graciously protect me tonight. For into your hands I commend myself, my body, my soul, and all that is mine. Let your holy angel be with me, so that the wicked foe may have no power over me. Amen. May God meet you where you are at. It's fun to see some of these ideas that are popping up here. Good evening to Kim. Yeah, good. Welcome. Nice to have you here. And a good evening to Lloyd and Peggy. Again, thank you for letting me spend some time with you. And thanks for all the food. I came home 2 or 3 pounds heavier from my trip to North Dakota. God's blessings to you. May you have a wonderful night and a great week. I look forward to seeing you in worship, either in person or online.